dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh.
It's that time. Christmas time is here. Stockings are gently hung. The fireplace is on. Justin nestles in his seat. The projector fires up. Will it be naughty or nice? Hey, what has this holiday brought this episode? A present or cold? Welcome to the Movie Wire Christmas. Let's go!
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
Merry Christmas and welcome to the last episode of 2025. I'm your host, Justin Henson, and welcome to the show. I hope you all are having a fantastic holiday. We have a big show this week with 4 new movies to review with 3 playing in theaters, and this week we add in our segment of the Movie Wire Catch-Up, a movie that was short-lived in theaters. This week on the show, the Sully family are introduced to a new threat in James Cameron's third installment, Avatar, Fire, and Ash. This week on the show, the Sully family are introduced to a new threat in James Cameron's third installment, Avatar, Fire, and Ash. A story about the people you love and how to survive them. James L. Brooks's Ella McKay, inspired by a legend, bound by a dream, and good times never seem so good. Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson star in Song Sung Blue. That opens on Christmas Day. And finally, Deliverance from Evil, Nick Cage stars in The Carpenter's Son. We've got a lot to cover this week, so let's jump right in. Ready for my verdict? Let's get into it. Lightning and thunder, a Milwaukee husband and wife, Neil Diamond act, experience soaring success and devastating heartbreak in their musical journey together. Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson star in Song Sung Blue.
Sweet Caroline.
I'm not a songwriter, I'm not a sex symbol. I just want to entertain people.
I don't want to be a hairdresser. I want to sing, I want to dance, I want to garden, I want a cat.
I need something big, I need something new. What do you think?
You don't want to be a Neil Diamond impersonator. You want to be a Neil Diamond interpreter.
I was looking for the right way to say it, and you just came right out and said it.
Tell your mama, girl, we can't stay long.
We should call ourselves Lightning and Thunder.
We got things we gotta catch up on.
So you be lightning and I be thunder.
Yeah. You...
That is not very professional of me, but I've been wanting to do it for like a whole...
You really have to call him Lightning? It's kind of weird.
Be nice.
Okay.
My dad in Vietnam, sometimes he'd have to crawl over dead bodies. So yeah, he used to drink.
I could really use for you to tell me I'm doing the right thing.
I think you are.
Oh, I was scared you were gonna hit your head. Bad things happen over and over, and I just want to sing and I want to shine.
Say, can't pay you anything right now, that's all.
Came here for you, brother. I wouldn't go any shorter than this. I want it to ripple and wave when the wind blows my shirt.
Wind in a bar. How?
Like a leaf blower. Do you have one? Sure.
Sweet Caroline. The good times never seem so good. Oh, boy.
Robin, how you doing?
How am I doing? I'm huge.
I just disappear in the music.
You two always know what to do.
I can't thank Neil, because every thank you I got belongs to you, doll. You're my August night, my September morn, you're my crackling Rosie.
Lightning and thunder.
You know, with Hugh Jackman's Broadway history, this role was almost a match made in heaven for him. And however you feel about this movie walking out of it, it's hard not to at least appreciate the energy that Jackman puts into his character Charlie, who plays a professional impersonator that later in his career decides to focus on his performance on a Neil Diamond act with his wife Claire, played by Kate Hudson, where she met Charlie also being a country impersonator. But with that said, Jackman's performance is so over the top, and even when he advertises his nickname, Lightning, it is one of the cringiest things I have seen on the big screen in a long time, to the point it made my toes curl. But as the movie went on, and I saw the balance between a serious performance and a cringy performance, it made sense that at times impersonators are cringy and over the top. And Jackman homes in on his Broadway acting skills to ensure we get the same over-the-top feeling. So the interpretation of the viewer of how these performances are received will be purely opinion. But Jackman's interpretation of this is almost spot on how we feel as an audience member. A little bit silly, a little bit cringy, and again, over the top. The performances for me were silly when they needed to be, and successfully serious when the movie needed to be brought down to reality. Our writer-director, Craig Brewer, does a good job of control here on bringing us on a journey of a music biopic of a Neil Diamond impersonator with his character direction. But with that said, the writing by Brewer and Greg Coase follows the same tropes and formula as all other music biopics. We have the internal conflict usually surrounding addiction, or in this case, recovering from addiction. We have the challenge to overcome, we get the origin of fame, and we get the fall of fame. Song Sung Blue doesn't steer too far off course here, and at times plays it almost too safe with dealing with conflict, where it feels mainly like brief whispers as we see some many directors and writers falter on this, where they want the audience to fill in the blanks as we've seen this formula before, and it just assumes that we are going to fill in the blanks, as the filmmakers are saying, you can see it's bad, why do I need to explain it? Here's the explanation. You have to explain it for an emotional level. You have to explain it for us to feel something. The dialogue doesn't go far enough to have us feel something. And this is the biggest mistake, because even famous musicians, impersonators, hell, let's just say real people, they have conversations. They talk about conflict. If I am in a conflict of conversation, I'm not going to deliver 2-3 lines of dialogue and exit stage left. That's not how it works most of the time. And we get that here. Once we get Charlie and Claire facing conflict, we don't get to know anything really about them or how they handle conflict. And even as we are introduced to these two, we are presented with each one's individual conflict, and the movie just moves on. It is very structured. Now, I know this was a problem when I see some familiar faces pop up in the cast when they present themselves on screen, and a big smile came across my face. And that is with Short Circuit's Fisher Stevens as Dave and Jim Belushi as Tom, where these two are friends and agents to Charlie. These two do such a great job on bringing the fun factor on screen. It's almost like they're in a completely different movie, but in a good way, even to the point I wish they had more screen time. When these two popped up on screen, there were moments that I just wanted them to stay on screen, because they almost get the assignment on a subtle level that this is a movie about a Neil Diamond impersonator. Let's have a little fun with it. And these two seem to have a little fun with it while staying still true to the story. But these two seem to have an on-screen presence that the rest of the cast doesn't get. They bring some fun without throwing off what the movie is intended to do. But then we get to the music numbers. They are limited to just moments that again teeters on not having too much fun with the material. We know the songs, and just like the crowd that is potentially waiting, we are waiting for Charlie and Claire to bust into Sweet Caroline. We are cut short as our director Brewer says, no. Don't have too much fun with this material. Don't have too much fun with this music. This is a timeout. Let's move on to a balance of seriousness. This is where the movie wants to play it safe and say, we can't be too fun. We can't be serious either. We can't be too silly. We can't be too over the top, and we can't have too much fun with this material. And maybe that intent is not to give the vision of these characters to be too silly or fun or comedical. But come on, this is a Neil Diamond impersonator. The music is fun. Impersonators are fun. They're pure entertainment. Give us something entertaining. Pick a side, whether you want to be serious to tell this story or you want to be silly or comedical. Give us something fun or emotional to explore. This movie can't decide what it wants to do, and it becomes clear by the time we reach the climax, as we have moments of happiness and the camera swings to the audience to see their reactions. The fun, the cheering, that stuff makes us feel good, and this is the filmmaker's last stab to make us feel something. And honestly, it does. It brings a smile to our face, but there is still conflict during this performance that I will leave out for spoilers. When the camera swings out and sees the audience cheering and smiling, along with a shot of Fisher, Stevens, and Belushi, it reminded me of the money shot, the great shot from the 1998 film 54, where at the end we get that, again, money shot of the look of Mike Myers looking at Ryan Phillippe's character. It makes us feel good. It makes us feel satisfied, even with the flaws in the movie. It ties it all together. But this also made me feel jealous because I wanted to have fun with this audience too. I wanted to feel what this crowd was feeling. Damn these filmmakers for not allowing me to have some fun. Song Sung Blue stays the course of a reused formula we have seen time and time again. But the biggest fault that it has is staying the course and not leaning in how much fun this material could have been. Instead, it leaves the audience wanting more, and it doesn't deliver more. I'm giving Song Sung Blue 2.5 stars. As Jake's family grapples with grief, they encounter a new aggressive Na'vi tribe. As the conflict on Pandora escalates, a new moral focus emerges in Avatar, Fire, and Ash.
All I have is my faith that this is the Great Mother's plan.
You have this family.
This is the only pure thing in this world. The fire came from the mountain, burned our forest. My people cried for help. But Eva did not come.
What does that always say?
Sully never quits.
That's right. Sully's never quit.
If your father and I do not return, you go as far and as fast as you can. There's something you're hiding.
This world goes much deeper than you imagine.
Do not test me!
You want to spread your fire across the world. You want to take on anyone? You need me.
I see you.
Damn right you do.
Now, remember the line in the first Avatar where we hear the "Welcome to Pandora, where everything wants to kill you"? That added a sense of wonderment to the environment, to almost a new character, a new curiosity. We are first introduced to Pandora, its environment, and we sit in our seats with wonderment of people traveling years to be on a planet mainly for greed, but we question the stakes of spending a chunk of your life traveling to Pandora if it was worth it. To always wear an oxygen mask in a world of danger where the environment, the creatures, the wildlife wants to kill you. Behind the weak story of Avatar, there was always a lingering curiosity in setting. There was a curiosity in the environment that acted as a character in itself, that distracted from, again, the weak story that I have stated in my previous review of Avatar: Way of the Water. Now, when we think about the Avatar films, the first thing that comes to mind is look, style, the special effects, the CGI, the 3D. There has been many conversations that I have had surrounding Fire and Ash in the last few days, and very rarely did those conversations start with, man, that story of Avatar was epic, the performances were good, the music was good, the editing was good, etc., etc. Avatar has been, and there should be little to no argument, especially with the greed of Hollywood, that the spectacle of it is purely there over story and banks on getting people's butts in higher priced theater seats with 3D or IMAX to get some box office dollars. When it comes to the original Avatar, there's no argument for me that the movie looks fantastic. It was groundbreaking. Same with Way of the Water, it looked fantastic. But when it comes to Fire and Ash, it follows my biggest complaint from the first film. The story is weak, with no defining elements of story to really solve anything, to give us that emotional push, to really make it relevant, especially given almost a 3.5-hour runtime. But Fire and Ash has one difference, is that the added characters are much more interesting. So much interesting that almost at the 3.5-hour runtime, I was not only disappointed in how much we spend time with these characters, but also how little we learn about them. Fire and Ash attempts to balance two things: all the characters from the previous two films with an added colony and loading as many action scenes as it can to give its fair share of an attempted balance. And when you try to do both, action scenes will always dominate the story versus characters. With a movie that banks on CGI, it will always dominate as a priority versus story, as we saw from the first Avatar. Way of the Water is the audible that plays the in-between with a heavier message. Here, the message is lost among the spectacle strategy to really take what Avatar has attempted to build as messaging between the films. As the third movie, especially with one of the longest runtimes of the previous two films, we have to look at that time. What has the movie really built in the 3.5 hours? Or holistically in the trilogy here? More characters, yes. An interesting expanded story? No. There is a scene in the film that stayed in my mind, and that is a scene involving a city setting where we have colonized people with holographic cell phones videotaping, and I asked myself, where did this colony come from? Where did the city come from? Where did these people come from? Where and how this technology was built? Yes, I get they travel into space, so of course we're going to have a holographic vlogging device, but this raises questions of what happened in between the three movies. We have gone from Welcome to Pandora, where everything wants to kill you, to a city full of social media influencers. Where is the in-between? That was the biggest curiosity in Avatar Fire and Ash, is that we ask these questions. What has happened to the colonized people? How did they expand the city? This scene showed that we needed another movie in between. And almost with our interesting new tribe introduced, I would have loved a movie dedicated to our new tribe as almost a spin-off story. Then it all would come together. But Fire and Ash felt like it rushed itself. And I can't tell you how much I loved our villain in this one. And this is what really dedicated me to say we needed a crossover movie with our main villain antagonist, Varog, played by Una Chaplin, who gives the best performance of the movie and is also the most interesting character of the movie because we don't learn enough. But the performance is so good, we want to learn more. But we don't give her much to do. But when she is on screen, she is mesmerizing. I felt we needed a different strategy. Again, a spin-off movie or more screen time, something more for her to higher the stakes, other than just introducing her to an already tired antagonist. This movie suffers from what I say more often, especially this year, is I wish. I wish in this 4-hour commitment with trailers that we got more of an emotional stake. I wish we got a bigger musical score that amplified emotion and action. I wish we had a bigger character focus. I wish we had more of a focus on our characters without below the surface dialogue. I wish we felt something other than that looks cool. Even the music score felt safe. When we get action scenes, the music stays linear. It doesn't amplify anything. Avatar Fire and Ash doesn't deliver any of those elements. That really sucks us into an emotional lever other than spectacle. But I'm being too hard. In fairness, what it does deliver is pure entertainment with a 3-hour and 17-minute runtime that actually does, to its credit, fly by. It's entertaining. So in a weird entertainment value way, it does work because the visual look is appealing. The characters are familiar in new situations. And again, the villain is more interesting from the rest of the films, and we get a focus of the on-screen likability of Spider, played by Jack Champion, in which this character in Fire and Ash is purely situational and symbolic based on the previous movies, and that we can connect with him. But in his dialogue comes, again, the I wish. I wish there was more of an emotional connection with these scenes he was given. We get scenes of rebirth to a scene of attempted sacrifice, and I didn't feel the connection of emotion. I felt for the character because the film built the foundation of what Spider stands for, inclusion and acceptance. But this film emotionally didn't grow on this idea. Each grab of emotion fell short, where it defines its place as pure entertainment and spectacle, where we have numerous opportunities in 4 hours to grow the emotion, the nostalgic factor from the first film to now. And I have to say, this is a movie meant for pure spectacle in the moment entertainment. It does great with that. An experience, and there's nothing wrong with that. A theme park ride of cinema. And this movie sets that expectation for any movie that's coming in the future, that this has to be treated as a pure theme park ride. And I want to be clear. At times, theaters need that. Audiences need that escape. But when it comes to a movie holistically, many will say, I need a movie to remember down the road, to rewatch, to give me that same experience again. Simplistically, a rewatch value. An example I like to give, when I was a kid and I got to experience Captain EO starring Michael Jackson at the EO Theater at Disneyland, walking out, I was mesmerized. I loved the 3D, the experience, it all was fantastic. I can still vaguely remember every feeling I had. I even still have the little red winged creature thing in my office. And a couple times over the years, I've looked for videos of it and to attempt to do a rewatch. And I said, this sucks. This is not that much fun. And I fear that many down the road will feel the same with Fire and Ash, as they did with the Transformer films, as they did with Alice in Wonderland, as they did with many experience films, if you will. The 3D films that target an audience with a spectacle at its experience theater that longevity may disappoint. Like Captain EO, they lean heavily in the spectacle, the big IMAX theaters, the big 3D theaters, and it doesn't feel the same. So in the moment, it's fun. In longevity, you're not going to feel the same. Experience films like this are a double-edged sword, that in the moment they feel good. But as rewatches on a home TV, we feel the impact even more of the I wish this movie did this. This is why we should bank more on story and characters than mere spectacle. Avatar: Fire and Ash isn't a bad film, I want to make that clear. It entertained me for the full runtime. It has great performances, it looks great, and does the impossible. Make almost 4 hours fly by. But only time will tell if it holds up when it comes to rewatchability without the intent and the experience of a spectacle. James Cameron goes from vision of where to take these characters to how I can impress, because we do see a limit to the character arcs of our returning characters, including Courage played by Stephen Lang. We just do the same thing, but with added chemistry with our Jake character. That again is situational for the plot driver that doesn't go far enough emotionally that the film we can feel wants to go. I think that is my breaking point with Fire and Ash, is that we take previous conflicts and present them once again in just a new light of situation, and there is nothing new added to the table with previous characters. It's just more added drama with new characters. Now, this is the hardest film review for me of 2025, because at face value, I have to decide if it's worth recommending, and even with the tremendous flaws it has. But at the same time, is this a movie that made me feel something or entertain me? It entertained me. I have been back and forth on this film since my first viewing up until my last. I have seen this film 2 times now, once in standard, once in 3D, and it entertained me both times. But when it comes to the rewatchability, I don't have a need to see it for a third time when it comes to streaming. But when a movie that's 4 hours long and it makes both viewings fly by, it's hard for me to deny a recommendation. I have to give this a marginal pass at 3 stars.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Now, before we get into the rest of the show, make sure you check out my reviews for movies that just became available to rent, buy, or stream now.
Now available on video cassette.
Anyone can survive 5 nights. This time there will be no second chances. Hopefully there won't be a third chance at Five Nights at Freddy's 2. That was just as bad as the original with a slight edge that received 1.5 stars. Unlock the illusion that we really needed a sequel to this. And Now You See Me, Now You Don't that received 2 stars. Survive 30 days while the world hunts you down in the remake of the 1987 film The Running Man that really didn't make me run away, receiving 3 stars. I still fucking hate Glenn Powell. When they took his family, he took revenge, and Sisu Road to Revenge. That is just as good as the first, if not a little better, receiving 3.5 stars. Worlds Will Collide, and There's No Going Back is Drawn Aries that had enough entertainment value versus disappointment to receive 3 stars. Forgotten but not gone in the tragic true story of Broadway legend Lawrence Hart that will fill a Broadway thirst with fantastic performances, especially from Ethan Hawke in Blue Moon that received 3.5 stars. Risk everything, regret nothing, and regretting you that will make you full of regret spending the time or the money, and studios probably have regret hiring the editor, writer, and director here, receiving 2 stars. There's smarter life out there in the universe, including with our filmmakers that created Begonia, that received 3 stars. Some search for battle, others are born into it in one battle after another, which is a prime example of all filmmaking elements working together in unison to receive 4 stars. You would be so proud of her in Shelby Oaks, but not proud of the filmmaking here that really needed to figure its shit out to receive 2 stars. Need a miracle? You got it when Keanu Reeves plays an angel, and he is adorable in Good Fortune that received 3 stars. He robbed 45 McDonald's, escaped from prison, lived in a Toys R Us for 6 months, and that's not even the craziest part. The craziest part is that we can tell that Channing Tatum wasn't a Toys R Us kid in Rootman that received 1.5 stars. That is just a word. We told you not to talk to strangers in The Black Phone 2. That for an unnecessary sequel, this one actually got it right, receiving 3 stars. The unforgettable true story of UFC legend Dwayne Johnson stars in The Smashing Machine, which couldn't find its way to 3 stars, receiving 2.5 stars. Who's a good movie? Who's a good movie? In Good Boy, which had a good dog, good premise, and great filmmaking to receive 3 stars. The task is simple, walk or die in the Stephen King adaptation of The Long Walk. That was pretty thrilling for a movie about walking to receive 3 stars. All's fair when love is war in The Roses, which call me a romantic, but nothing makes me appreciate relationships more than watching other relationships fight, receiving 3.5 stars. Who can you trust when everyone is a stranger? You know, my parents told me never to talk to strangers, but they should have told me not to watch strangers to prepare me for the movie that received 0.5 star. And finally, it was supposed to be fun, then 2 pregnant women later in The Threesome. And surprise, it's getting 3 stars. You can check out those reviews of my previous episodes, and while you do, don't forget to hit follow or subscribe, and please don't forget to leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Now, before we get into the last set of reviews, there is a podcast that I absolutely love, and it's with my favorite Wilson family. And that's the Super Familiar with the Wilsons podcast. Make sure you follow and subscribe. The link to that show will be in the description of this episode. But let's hear from the Super Familiar with the Wilsons podcast now.
The Super Familiar with the Wilsons podcast. You know that family whose house you hung out in when you were a kid? The house was a little loud and chaotic, but always fun, and sometimes felt more home than home. Well, that's us.
We're the Wilsons, and we welcome you into our podcast with silly chat, ridiculous games, and interviews with interesting people.
Like a spin doctor. The Super Familiar with the Wilsons podcast.
Welcome home.
An idealistic woman juggles her family and work life in a comedy about the people you love and how they survive them. James L. Brooks presents Ella McKay.
Hi, I'm the narrator. I'm here to provide facts about Ella McKay. I've worked for her ever since she finished law school, so I'm not exactly neutral. I'm nuts about her. This is how it started.
Aunt Helen, I have a ridiculously serious problem, and you're the only one I can tell.
I'm about to add to your problems, Ella. Your father's here.
Why?
We haven't seen each other in how long?
You don't know either?
Eddie, you promised not to be yourself.
I'm a different person now. I met an incredible woman.
Oh!
No. The way I've never in my life felt this way about any other woman.
Jesus, Eddie!
Oh, God. I wasn't counting your mother. She's in a completely different category.
And let me just say that you are truly blessed if you have never experienced other people's normal, happy families as a small stab in the heart.
You're 34. You just became governor of the state you were born and raised in. Are you thinking about your mom? Yeah, me too. Ella, your father, your brother, and your husband. Where is she?
Can I tell her what it's about?
It's about how she ruined everything.
All right, I'll tell her that.
The ticking time bomb in your life.
You didn't want me big sistering. But what happened to that great girl?
Susan, would you be my girlfriend?
A lot of time has passed, and we've been with other people, or not.
You can use a scream. Scream!
All right. No. No, I might not be able to stop.
It's too bad I was going to join you.
Hi, Ella here.
Hi.
I'm Helen McKay. Please excuse the way I talk or act.
Families, huh?
Absolutely.
I'm really angry.
That's what not screaming will get you. So, listen, Ella. Do you have something? Well, we should do that every afternoon.
You know, Ella McKay is such a vanilla film that it should get its own Ben and Jerry's name. Let me take it back. Let's take a step back. Ben and Jerry would actually add some flavor to this film, so this would be the store-bought generic vanilla that you could even taste the vanilla, just cold. Emma Mackey stars as Ella McKay, the lieutenant governor to Governor Bill, played by James L. Brooks, who has accepted a new job as a high-rank position, and Ella becomes the acting governor. Ella's character definition is written well enough to execute the part. A girl brought up from a broken home, raised by her opinion-based aunt, Helen, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, who wants to do good. And in politics today, it's hard to see that persona in any politician. He gives us the hopeful persona of hopes and dreams. But of course, Ella is met with controversy when her husband, Ryan, played by Jack Lowden, used a building paid by the government to have marital relations during Ella's busy schedule. That, honestly, I think most will think is reasonable the way our writer-director Brooks presents it. But a reporter is blackmailing Ella by threatening to release the story unless she gives exclusive attention. Now, here lies the problem with Ella McKay, is that it takes something with a likable character that wants to balance happiness from work to life that doesn't affect anyone, and spending all of her time for the people with good intentions, and then it slaps a blackmail story on top of it. But where the flaws are here in Brooks' writing is that it's all over the fucking place with characters and subplots, sub-conflicts that makes no fucking sense, along with nothing from our characters to make this movie feel satisfying. We have Ella's cheating father Eddie, played by Woody Harrelson, come and go, trying to win her love back so he can be in a relationship with his new girlfriend. We have her brother Casey, played by Spike Fern, that has secluded himself and is a secret millionaire that fears going outside of his home. We have husband Ryan that has ulterior motives that makes no sense. There's no exploration. Ryan and Ella are high school sweethearts that feel like high school sweethearts in how the film is presented with no malice. The film tries to paint Ryan as something we just don't know, and we wait to be presented with something that never comes. Ryan, along with his family, owns a pizza chain that is never really explored. But Brooks tries to paint him as an idiot or an asshole, and I still don't have clarity on what he wanted from this character. It's almost like he took every male stereotype from 90 rom-coms or comedy films, from dumb, jock, nerd, sex star, power hungry, and threw it in a blender and just vomited it on screen. Even our Aunt Helen, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, feels thrown in and absolutely vague. Curtis feels restrained here, where the dialogue feels like the rock of the family, but she never has a moment of being the rock. She is so limited on dialogue that even Ella shuts her up. This is a character that hints at intrigue, from the avoidance of conflict to the rock, but Brooks can never decide what he wants this character to do. I am absolutely confused by the characters in this film. It feels like a looking glass into James L. Brooks' head, and I am absolutely worried for him. Brooks has always been a better on-screen presence than he has been a writer or director, and his performance here is solid as a politician, where he attempts to play both sides of the fence as most politicians do. We can see an obvious problem of Brooks organizing his thoughts here. It just looks like ideas thrown to a screen, but the ideas don't go anywhere. He just seems all over the place, with the core of the problem being the characters. There is a movie here, but it's so bogged down in so many character subplots that do nothing for the story or the character development of Ella. The brother subplot is pointless. The father subplot is pointless. Why do we have all these added conflicts that add nothing to the story or progression of the characters and give us nothing of an outcome? Brooks, I can tell, wanted to add chaos to the story to heighten the stakes with Ella's conflict, but it never happens. We don't feel it. It just all feels mute and pointless. And it bogs down the messaging that I can tell this movie wants to do. James wants to do this messaging. This is a prime example of where we are now in filmmaking. Make a movie about politics and you have to be safe. Make a comedy and you can't offend. Make a woman empowerment movie, the man has to be dumb. But in reality, this movie offends me more because it insults the intelligence of the viewer. I get more substance out of pop-up books than I do here. I didn't laugh, I didn't cry, I didn't feel empowered, and I didn't feel good or bad. This movie went nowhere. The only shining light here was our narrator, Estelle, played by Julie Kavner, who is the only one that made me laugh in a single moment. That you will know that moment if you dare to watch this movie. Ella McKay is misguided in almost every single element that will be lost in time. It has good performances, but with absolutely no motivation in its dialogue to make these performances feel relevant. The talent is wasted here, and so will your time. We can tell this movie wanted to be something, it wanted to be more, it wanted to make you feel good, but at the end of the day, it just feels sad. It feels like we don't have any organization, and we feel bad for the cast that have no idea where to go with this material. I'm giving Ella McKay 1.5 stars.
Theaters to streaming seems too short, so that can only mean one thing. It's time for the movie Wirecast.
A family hiding in Roman Egypt, a son known as the Boy, doubts guardian of the Carpenter, rebelling with mysterious powers. As he uses his abilities, they face natural and divine horrors. Nicolas Cage stars in The Carpenter's Son.
What awaits us when we turn at last to death? Let my faith endure. Faith. My only strength to bear against the devil itself. For years we live in hiding, driven from every home. He bears a power he cannot understand. Power I cannot contain.
Is he my father?
You put that in your mind. Do you want to know a secret? I know one that can free you.
Who are you?
You know who I am.
Is he from your angels or from demons?
You were always afraid, greatly afraid.
My faith has been shattered!
I'm the accuser of life. I am the adversary. And why am I here?
To torment me.
Yes.
All right, we need to hire a carpenter to build a coffin for this film. Nicolas Cage making a serious symbolic drama about faith and suffering sounds like a perfect stretch of range for Nick Cage. And yeah, I've said it before, I am a big fan of Nick Cage's return and his material picks. And Cage thrives in these kinds of situations, the extremes. And when paired with the right material, he can turn even the weirdest idea into something compelling. But The Carpenter's Son is not that movie. This shows all the flaws of adapting to material, situations, relationships, stakes, and shows that he is out of his element here. Because I'm sad to say that hands down, this is one of the worst performances, not just from Nick Cage, but the worst performance of the year. The idea and premise of The Carpenter's Son is solid. What would it have been like for Joseph to parent a teenage Jesus who starts to identify the power from his father, that being God, but also facing temptation of evil, that being Satan, in the style of a period piece horror film? Written and directed by Lofty Nathan from 2022's Harka, we can see the style and the vision here, but we can also see he put faith in Nick Cage controlling every aspect of his scenes. And this shows how green of a director he is. Where in 2022's Harka, with unknown talent, he had complete control of an emotional impact and his vision. It was protected. Here, the performances are all over the place, with a slight exception of our boy in question, played by Noah Jupe, where visually we can see our director Nathan place him in visual aspect to represent curiosity to help build the tension. And Jupe does a good job standing in front of a camera with his on-screen presence, but sadly has no dialogue to really work with to build a lot of curiosity of tension. For a film written and directed by Nathan, we can see the idea, but we can't see the execution. Now, the dialogue may not be the main issue, but the delivery is. The delivery is so sloppy, so unbearing, it's unlistenable. It's hard to grasp the dialogue when it's so overacted. Nobody talks like a real person. Every conversation sounds like it was delivered to be on a high school stage play. Characters don't speak so much as declare their lines. Someone will wander in, say something cryptic about faith or suffering, whatever it may be, and wander out again, and their job is done. It's like everybody's shouting their lines to conquer the screen. Supporting characters only exist to test the boy's self-learnings or beliefs that contradict our Carpenter, to force a biblical message but not build conflict or curiosity. This just is a linear storyline that just drags on. This is a movie that is really challenging to watch because the performances, at bare minimum, can help raise the story up, but they are just so bad it's hard to even take the dialogue seriously to even care to pay attention. What's the most frustrating thing is that The Carpenter's Son clearly thinks it's saying something important because it's based on religious themes. It wants to be deep, it wants to be meaningful, but it never lets its characters feel messy or human enough to make those themes stick. It plays like a hemorrhoid commercial, as more of a painful inconvenience than something that should be so thematic and at times even emotionally heavy. To be fair, Nathan's direction alongside cinematographer Simon Befils does have moments of awe, slight awe, very slight awes. The lighting, mostly surrounding Cage, compensates for his lack of emotions, which is almost sad because Cage is so obsessed with overacting, he almost demands all eyes on him. And I had to force myself to appreciate the attempt at Nathan's shots, because it's hard. It's like a flashlight being shined in your eyes. You have to look directly at it or avert your eyes. There's no in between. We have good direction by Nathan, and then we have Nicolas Cage as a flashlight. We don't have a chance to appreciate the outers, anything beyond Cage here when it comes to the direction. But again, in fairness, visually, take your eyes off of Nicolas Cage. Visually, the movie looks fine, almost too fine, and this is where we kind of look through the cracks. Every shot is carefully lit, perfectly framed, and completely predictable. As the movie went on, I started trying to find something to like in this film, and I gave up on Cage, so I started to look for the overall atmosphere, the look. And even when we take close-ups or landscape shots of the scenery, after a while it starts to feel like the film is using pretty images as a distraction from the fact that nothing is actually happening. It's the equivalent of mood lighting doing all the heavy lifting. It's like at the end of the night of a nightclub when all the lights come up, you just go, ew. And that's exactly what Nathan is doing here. Either Nicolas Cage was difficult to work with, or Nathan didn't want to rock the boat on having Cage on his cast. He just let him do his thing and said, I'll just make sure the look and feel is there. And this strategy just doesn't work because it makes a movie look even sillier. When the movie reaches the climax and attempts one last stab at the good versus evil themes, I didn't give a fuck. I didn't care. I was waiting for Nick Cage to come out and say, I declare myself to be an acting god. I am Jesus. The Carpenter's son, again, has a good idea, but it's absolutely wasted by the performances that seem to just show up for a payday, where it just took a good idea and just flushed it down the toilet to cinematic hell. I'm giving The Carpenter's Son 1.5 stars. And that's a cut on this week's edition of The Movie Wire. I want to thank you for listening and thank you for your support. You can also show support for the show by following me on Instagram, Blue Sky, X, Thread, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Letterboxd at Movie Wire Show. And please don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you haven't yet checked out the Cult-Worthy Cinema Podcast and the Movie Wire's new show, Back to the Balcony, make sure you do. The link to that show will be in the description of this episode. Until next week, do me a favor. Make sure you stay for after the credits to show the respect to those that put their blood, sweat, and tears into making a feature film and support your local movie theaters.